Ted Kennedy said, "Change is the law of life." I know change. I know challenge. Perhaps you do too. Whether you are overcoming adversity or achieving a dream, never underestimate the importance of vision or the power of perseverance. If you would have met me in college, you would have seen me at the university as a junior, an able-bodied young woman pursuing her first belt in karate, jogging 2 miles around the campus and playing piano. I had a vision for my life, to do the best I could and to use my life for a purpose greater than myself. Vision is very important. It's the mental picture of what you want your life to be. As a campus reporter, our end-of-the-year assignment was to participate in something and write about it. I chose to borrow a wheelchair, go around our campus, and write about my experience. So that's what I did that Friday. I got my friend's wheelchair, I wheeled to all my classes, wheeled to the lunchroom, wheeled to the bathroom, used the handicap stall, wheeled to more classes, up and down hills with help. And at 5 o'clock that night, went into the computer lab, typed up my article, and pushed myself back to my dorm. Picked up the phone and called my mom like I did every Friday. "Hi, Mom, I just finished my article." "Yeah, tomorrow about 50 of us in Campus Crusade for Christ are going to Dell's to celebrate our annual Kick Off the Summer party." "Yeah, you know Dell. She's got that big pool in her backyard." "Okay, Mom. I love you too. Bye-bye." Well, the next day was Saturday, June 1st, 1991. A beautiful Saturday. Perfect to celebrate the kickoff of summer. So we all headed out to Dell's house and got in the swimming pool. And I, being the more adventurous one, climbed on my friend's shoulders in the shallow end and stood up. Well, I started losing my balance, so I raised my hands above my head and I dove toward the deep end. I felt my head slam on the bottom of the pool. I heard something crack. And I lay face down on the bottom of the pool, totally unable to move. Someone grabbed around my waist and brought me to the surface, and I gasped for air. In the hospital, the doctors informed me that I broke my neck in 3 places. The next few days, they weren't sure if I would make it. The doctors took my mom aside and said, "Helen, your daughter will never walk again." My mom handled it very well. She turned to the doctors and said, "You're fired." Donald Trump had nothing on my mom. You see, my mom had a vision for my life. She knew what she didn't want, and she didn't want her daughter to be a quadriplegic lying in bed for the rest of her life. She wanted me to get my life back the way it was before, and she was determined to do anything she could to help me. She never told me the bad news. Well, I had surgery to fuse my spine, and they put a black metal halo, screwed it into my skull. Every morning, the nurse would come in my intensive care room with lung medicine and a breathing apparatus. My first exercise was just to breathe. After a month in the hospital, I went to rehab. My rehab therapist came to me and said, "Stacy, today we're going to write down your goals." Goals? I thought. I want my life back the way it was. I told her, "I can't move my hands." She said, "Well, this is your first exercise." It took me an hour to write that list. Here's a list. Learn how to write. Learn how to type. Put in my contacts. Dress myself. Put on my own makeup. Push my own wheelchair. Graduate from college. Have a career. Go on a date with Bob. Remember this list, by the way. I had to relearn everything. Well, that was the first time I'd ever written down my goals. I've since learned the importance of putting goals in writing. Goals are a written contract to yourself. And today, I write down my goals and I stick them on my bathroom mirror. I can see them every day. Didn't mean it was easy. There were days I felt like a failure, and nights I cried myself to sleep. Well, I had a poster in my room, and it said, "I can do all things through him who gives me strength." I determined to do the best I could and never give up. I spent a year in therapy. Fast forward 8 years. I met a woman who had a new vision for my life. Her name was Mary, and she said to me, "Come to New York and do the marathon with me." I thought, "You're crazy. I can hardly push my wheelchair. No way can I go 26 miles. Besides, I don't even have a racing chair." Well, she wasn't hearing it, and about a month after her coaxing, I thought, well, I could at least try. 7 months of training later found me at the starting line of the New York City Marathon with my mom and a guide. So there I was. I had my name and my number on my front, and on the back, I had my favorite verse. "I can do all things through him who gives me strength." Well, there we were, the pack of 300 of us with disabilities, and we were going to start 2 hours before the race started at 8:20 a.m. So the starting gun went off, and within 10 minutes, everyone had passed me as we started up the 1-mile hill. Well, 2 hours later, when the marathon officially started, the elite pack of runners came running by us. And for the next 4 hours, 30,000 other runners came running by and running by. A lot of them said, "Go, Stacy," and some of them quoted the verse on the back of my back to me. Well, 6 hours later, arms aching, we finally crossed the halfway mark, 13.1 miles. Well, the day kept going on, and the sun was setting, and it was getting colder. It was November in New York City. The million people who come to cheer on all the runners had all since gone home, and I was now wheeling over the signs that they had once held up. I thought, we've got to be almost done. But I found myself pushing through the cold, gray, empty streets of Harlem. I could hardly push anymore. I stopped to gather my strength, and I looked above me, and it said 22 miles. I didn't think I could make one more push, but that's when I visualized the finish line and remembered that everyone who finishes gets a medal. I said to myself, "Stacy James, you didn't come this far not to finish." And I gave it one more push and one more push. 11 and a half hours after beginning that race, at 7:30 at night, we crossed the finish line. Me, my mom, and a guide. And the few volunteers that were left hung a medal around my neck. It was the greatest experience of my life. I said, "Take lots of pictures. I am never doing this again." It would have been easy to quit. All my pain would have been over. All the hard, but then also would have everything I worked so hard for. So what about you? What's your finish line? What's your vision? What are you hanging on to so that you won't give up when the going gets tough? Because so many people quit when they are so close to the finish line. But you know, the more you do those things that are hard, the more confident you get, and you'll be able to do things you never thought possible. Well, this medal marks my 13th marathon, and I do them in half the time now. Remember that list? Well, I've accomplished everything on that list except for one thing. Today, I can write. I can type 40 words a minute. This morning, when I got up, I got dressed. I put on my own makeup. Today, I'm a speaker, and I live for something greater than myself. I just haven't got that date with Bob yet. By the way, on June 13th, 1993, 2 years after my accident, this is how I graduated from college, magna cum laude. Keep that vision and give it one more push.